Eastbound down, loaded up and trucking. We gonna do it this, it can't be done. Oh crap, person at red light again. Hey, be quiet, the red light's on. Okay, shh, just a minute, okay. Hello everybody, how's everybody doing today? We're coming to you live from the 75 mile an hour mobile studio here in the great state of Oklahoma. We're down there at Tulsa unloading because the boss called this morning and he said, you have to go to Chicago. And I said, I don't like Chicago. I don't like going up there. It's too far. I don't want to do it. He said, you've got to do it. And I said, I ain't going to do it. There's no way in Hades you could make me go to Chicago, Illinois. And then he told me what I paid. So we're fixing to load up and go to Chicago, Illinois. I mean, it is what it is. But luckily now I've been drinking my coffee for a week now, and that coffee is the best coffee I ever had. I'll tell you what, it does all kinds. It helps your stress, it helps your focus, endurance, it gives you smooth energy. You drink a cup of it, you don't get all hyped up and then fall off later on. It just keeps you running smooth all day long, and it's got antioxidants. It's got all kinds of stuff in there good for you. Helps your joints, everything. And I'm really enjoying it. You all ought to try some of that there. But anyway, got in trouble because I ain't told a rodeo story lately. So we're going to tell this one, see how this turns out, okay? So years ago, we had this gunfight act. And in this gunfight act, we had a regular gunfighter-looking dude with a black duster on. He'd walk up there all like, I'm going to shoot you dead, buddy. And then I'd come out as a goofy gunfighter. Imagine that. Me's a goofy gunfighter. Okay, anyway, so I'd come out, and we'd have this big old, like, gunfight deal going on. But at the end of it, we'd shoot a shotgun off in the air and shoot a duck, and it'd fall out of the sky. Well, when that duck fell out of the sky, we always had a local policeman, a cop, a sheriff, or highway patrol, somebody come out there and arrest us because we like using the ones that have the actual uniforms on because it just looks better. So anyway, we get out this little old bull riding that town, and I told the promoter, I said, where can I find the sheriff or something around here? And he said, sit right up in the bleachers, go visit with him. So I walked up in the bleachers. There's that sheriff sitting there, and he looks just like Boss Hogg off of Dukes of Hazzard. And had a deputy sheriff standing beside him, looked like Roscoe B. Coltrane. And I'm like, what the hell's going on around this place? Anyway, so I said, hey, Sheriff, I said, we need to borrow Roscoe for a clown act tonight. And I said, what we're going to do is when that gun goes off and that duck hits the ground, need you to come out and say we're under arrest and walk us out. Because on the way out, we're going to tell some jokes, have a lot of fun. So the sheriff goes, no, I'm running for re-election, and I just end up myself get out for these people, and you don't get my presence no better. I said, oh, I don't care, just somebody do it. So when it's time for that, we shot that shotgun off in there, and that old duck right to the ground. and I was waiting for this guy to walk out, and I turned around, and they opened both gates, and here he comes in this cop car. He's got the lights and sirens and blared. He comes running in there, broad slides beside us, gets out and goes, you're going to jail, buddy. You can't shoot a gun. City limits. It's illegal. Well, he handcuffed me and put me in the damn cop car. So now I can't finish the clown act. It's just ruined. I mean, there's no way. So he drove us out. Made me madder than thunder now. So I sat there going, okay, we got to get back to this dude somehow. So the next day I said, hey, Sheriff, you going to help us do that clown act again? He said, oh, I'd love to do it again. He said, people thought it was really good last night. And he'd been up there. And I said, all right, we're going to do it the same way, right? And he said, we're going to do it the same exact way. And I said, cop car and everything? Yep, cop car and everything. And I said, that sounds good. So I went back to Trader and I had this helper. Let's call him Frank. Okay, just Frank. And I told Frank, said, hey, when that sheriff slides up there in that car and he gets out and he comes up to me, you kneel down behind him, I'll push him over backwards. When he hits the ground, we're going to get in this cop car and take off. And old Frank looked at me and said, Woody, this is not a good idea. And I said, it's a great idea. And he said, it's not a good idea. And I said, it's going to be a great idea. Just shut up and do what I tell you. So we get in the act that night, and poof, there goes the gun, and here comes the cop car out there. Woo, 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 woo. That he gets out prancing around, and I'm talking like Boss Hogg had that white scarf on around his neck and everything. Good Lord, it is atrocious because I think he's going through a midlife disaster because it's past a crisis. This dude's in a disaster. So anyway, he gets out and he walks up to me. You're going to jail. Well, by the time Frank kneeled down behind him, and I pushed that sucker over, and he hit the ground. And when he hit the ground, we run around as we getting in that cop car. Frank looked at me and goes, is this a good idea? And I said, this is a great idea. Everybody's going to love it. This is going to be funny or crap. So anyway, we get in the cop car and we take off to the arena. And old Frank's over going, I don't think it's a good idea. I said, Frank, it's a great idea. Trust me, buddy. I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional. So we get down to the end of the arena. And I spun that car around. Boy, we was like Bo and Luke Duke the way we slid that car around. It was so pretty. Oh, I'll tell you what, the dirt just flying up to there. And when we turned around, headed out the arena, guess what? Yep, Boss Hogg had run all the way down the arena, chasing us. And when we turned around, Boss Hogg's in front of the car now. And I thought, well, what the Hades? So I just give her a little more gas. He turns around and starts running. So now we got old Boss Hogg running down the arena in front of his own cop car. It was the funniest thing you ever saw. People laughing and all that stuff. And my buddy Frank said, well, we're going, this ain't a good idea. This ain't it. I said, shut up. It's a really good idea. This hang on, it's going to be a lot of fun. So we get close to the gate. And Frank jumps out. He jumped out the car. You know, that good Lord. So anyway, I'm still chasing Boss Hogg. And we get right there at the gates. And old Roscoe P. Coltrane come up there and he grabbed old Boss Hogg and pulled him over sideways to save his life. And I thought, that's cool, man. So anyway, as I cleared them gates, I thought, you know, I'm out of Copenhagen and I'm already in a car. There's a little old convenience store just right down the road. And I said, let's run on down there and get us some Copenhagen. Won't take very long for these lights tires on. So I floor it and I get down there to that convenience store. And I go inside, and the guy inside is looking at me like, what in the heck are you doing? And I said, just need Copenhagen logo, sir. And he said, where'd you get the car? And I said, borrowed it. And he said, mm-hmm. So anyway, I get my Copenhagen and walk outside, and guess what? Now there's five other cop cars there. And they got my old buddy Frank. They already got him pinned up. And he looked at me and goes, I told you it wasn't a good idea. And I said, well, it wasn't a good idea, apparently. I thought it was at the time, but it ain't right now. So we got a little bit of trouble, and they loaded us up and took us back to the arena and let us finish the show. And then after the show, we got a little more trouble because Boss Hogg wasn't happy at all and said we made him look like a fool. He's running for the election and all that stuff. And anyway, it turns out, guess what? It helped him in the polls. Everybody thought he was hard to act, thought it was funny. They enjoyed it. He got reelected. We didn't get thrown in jail. We got to go on our merry way. And we had a lot of fun. And to this day, Frank still says it wasn't a good idea. But it was a great idea at the time. I'll tell you, you should have seen him running, man. We was like bold Luke right on his butt, you know, that arena. So anyway, there's your rodeo story, and you got to go on there and try the coffee. You have to try the Dad Burn coffee. Get on there and look it up right there. You can see my deal. Get on there, try that coffee. It's the best thing you ever had in your life. It helps all kinds of things. You hit that QR code, get you some. You're gonna love it. And it'll keep me from getting a regular job because my wife still wants me to do that, and I'm trying to stay away from it best I can because that ain't for me, Hoss. I'm telling you right now. So help me out. Like and share. Go to the coffee deal. Get you some coffee. We'll see y'all next time.
Now, hey, don't go riding off just yet. Take a stroll over to woodyporter.com for more fun and a few more tall tales. We'll see y'all out there on the trail.